the boxers.
Okay, gentlemen, listen, when I tell you to break, you need to take a step back immediately. Keep your punches up. They might command to protect yourselves at all times. Good luck to you both, gents. Touch gloves.
Well, referee Mark Bates could barely be heard then. The din inside the Falls Park is deafening now. The thousands in attendance with the rain falling down, they do not care. Some entrance for Padraig McCrory sang into the ring.
Second
and
charge.
Steed Woodall
Round
is
one.
patiently waiting. The man from Birmingham who wears the blue and white shorts really fancies his chances of upsetting the local crowd here against Padraig McCrory, the 35-year-old who wears black, green and orange. The anticipation has been building. We've been treated to some exceptional fights on this card already. Eric Donovan, a man who knows everything about winning titles in the amateur and professional codes. What do you expect to see now tonight with these two?
Yeah, just the atmosphere is something else, isn't it, Tom? Both of these guys just got carried into the ring on the energy alone. Absolutely incredible, but make no mistake about it, this is going to be a very difficult fight. Steed Woodall, he comes and he's packing a good record, good resume, good experience, big puncher himself. But Padraig McCrory, as you said at the start, ranked number 4 by the WBA. You know, he knows he has to come through this challenge, and then you could be talking about mega fights in the super middleweight division. This is his moment, this is his homecoming, this is his place, this is his community, and he's living the dream.
Well, the crowd in full voice here in West Belfast. Well, it's just got a little bit messy early on.
Yeah, there's both fighters. Neither have settled into this. Neither have settled in so far, but that was a big clubbing right hook over the top from Padraig McCrory. Devastating puncher, serious power. Woodall has a bit of power himself. Both have a good knockout resume.
Well, they do indeed, as the man known as the Hammer tries to go to work. 17 wins, 9 inside the distance for McCrory. Woodall, of those 18 wins, 11 have come early. So as you say, both do carry a fair bit of power.
Yeah, Woodall, most of his knockouts have been with the right hand as well. You know, I think Padraig McCrory has power in both hands, but Woodall looks for that right hand over the top.
Oh, good work on the ropes now. He's going to work early, McCrory, and Woodall just in a little bit of trouble. Just a bit scrambled there as McCrory let the hands go.
McCrory landed a couple of big right hands on Woodall there on the ropes. Woodall took them well, to be fair.
Well, so much on the line for these two men. It would be the breakthrough they need to get involved in those big fights.
Yeah, there's a couple of mega fights in the super middleweight division. It's the glamour division. Big fights, big paydays, big promo.
Oh, good uppercut from McCrory. Woodall comes back, but really solid work from the Belfast man at the end of the round. What a round that was.
What a finish to the opening round. I mean, just fighting fire with fire. McCrory landing some big blows, but Steed Woodall answering as well, having his success. Brilliant opening round.
Well, McCrory just edging the round. I think it's fair to say Woodall was in there, landed a couple, but the really heavy artillery came from McCrory, and that exchange at the end of the round was fabulous.
Yeah, I think it was, this was the couple of left hooks on the rope. 3 unanswered left hooks from McCrory.
Corners, 10 seconds.
And then Woodall coming with his own big right hook there. So reddening of the nose around Woodall
Second
there,
charge.
as you can see.
Round 2.
Heavy artillery being landed already.
And Woodall just straight out tries to land. McCrory just retains centre of the ring. Woodall trying to get that jab working. Decent work from Woodall.
Yeah, good start to the round from Woodall.
Well, McCrory at 35 knows he wants those meaningful fights sooner rather than later, obviously. Both men land down. There's a bit of a wobble in the legs. And now Steve Woodall goes to work and has some success, and McCrory has to hang on there.
Yeah.
Dangerous moment.
McCrory was tagged there with a left hook from Woodall. He's hurt. He's definitely hurt. He needs to hold on.
Well, there's plenty of time in the round as well.
Yeah, it was a very good punch. Oh,
and a good left hook
back from McCrory.
Well, this has really caught fire straight away. Both men having big success in this second round.
This is electrifying. Both landing big shots, right hand over the top. That's the danger punch. I spoke about Woodall and how his right hand is the danger punch, but he actually wobbled Padraig McCrory with the left hook, showing us that he possesses power, equal power in his left hand as well. And then McCrory answered back with his own left hook, and this is just absolutely enthralling.
Well, you can't keep your eyes off this. It just looks like both men have shown they have power. They have slight vulnerabilities as well, which has just made it
They both have knockout
engaging.
power, Dom.
Yep.
They both have knockout power, and it's got to, you know, as much as Padraig McCrory likes to fight and dish it out and let his hands go, he's also got to be very, very aware and be defensive, because we know and we've seen already now that Woodall could turn his lights out.
Oh, and a big right hand from Woodall again, and back comes McCrory. And again, just like in the previous round, we're going to get, well, drama late. It looks like here again. Well, pick the bones out of that, Eric.
Yeah, see, D. Walsh, he's just really getting very animated in the corner, shouting in instruction to Padraig McCrory. And, you know, Paddy is, we know he's a devastating fighter. He's serious punch power, and he has that concussive power in both hands. But he's after meeting his match here in Steed Woodall, person with equally just as much power, and I think D. Walsh is looking for Padraig to be a little bit more cautious with his boxing and to keep his chin down and stick to his boxing.
Corners, 10 seconds.
But for the boxing fans, this is absolutely brilliant.
Anything can happen.
Second
Anyone
time,
can land.
round 3.
Well, will it be as open as the previous couple of rounds, or will we get a slightly cagey affair now? Who knows?
Yeah, well, that was a good round there for Woodall, so I would probably have it at even. Both have had serious success in this fight already, and these are not just tippy-tappy shots, these are big punches coming in. Just getting beat to the punch there, McCrory, by Woodall. Good body shot from McCrory. He needs more of his jab because he has the longer reach, has the height advantage. Good left hook from Woodall again, partly blocked by McCrory. these two guys didn't have to go very far to look for each other.
There's no feeling out process.
There's no warming into it. They just went straight down to business. Both looking in great shape as well.
It is a good contrast, the slightly longer McCrory, stocky, muscular frame of Woodall.
Amazing story, Padraig McCrory, you know, didn't have the success that he dreamed of as an amateur, but as a late starter into the professional game at 28 years of age, you know, he talked about one day maybe headlining a small hall show for an Irish title being a dream of his. And over the last number of years, his dreams have changed to much bigger things now. He won the IBO world title and he's now ranked number 4 by the WBA and in touching distance of a world title fight of his own. A mega fight, but he has to get through this test. And this is a very difficult one.
Well, they've been saying all week, both of them have been respectful. They knew the challenge of the other fella faced. As McCrory just gets the crowd going now as he tries to hustles Woodall on the ropes.
He just goes for it, McCrory. He doesn't just look for the scoring punches. The knockout punch he goes for with every shot. Brilliant finish to the round from McCrory.
There were times when both men weren't fully gung-ho, we're just trying to work out the next move, and then they just revert to what they want to do, and
seconds
again,
out,
both
round
men
4.
happy to just let their hands go. And
you can have all the tactics, you can have all the game plans, but when you get in the ring there and you get caught with a straight flush punch in the face, sometimes it just puts everything to the back of your mind and you just start fighting on instinct and survival mode. And I just find that McCrory's really going for it. Both fighters try so hard to land those big knockout punches, those big clubbing punches, that they leave themselves exposed, and that's always the danger when you're, you know, when you've got two when you've got two heavy punches. Yeah, very big hand, big left hand. Oh, brilliant shots from Woodall.
well, it is give and take. McCrory has success, Woodall comes back, has success of his own. And again now, McCrory just wants to manhandle Woodall into the corner. It's getting a little bit messy as far as Mark Bates, the referee, is concerned.
Judging by the punches that are going in here over the first 3 rounds, in this 4th round, I'd be very surprised if this goes the distance. As I say, it's always the danger.
Another big left hand from McCrory. Woodall tries to fight back. The crowd all screaming on the local man here. Can he put a couple of combinations together? Woodall seems to have taken the shot well.
He took it well, yeah. It was good defensive moves there. There were big shots going in, but this is the thing about McCrory as well. Every punch doesn't have to be a knockout punch. Sometimes you just have to win the round as well. And you got to be thinking of winning the round and not expending all that energy, because those 3 big massive punches that he threw on the ropes, they were all blocked. Good defence from it was good defence from Woodall. I'd like to see Padraig throw more jabs now. He's a big long jab, a good jab. Oh, very good.
The left hand again to keep from McCrory. Will be a final statement at the final end of this 4th round. Well, 4 rounds in. How are you scoring this, Eric?
I have Padraig McCrory up 3-1 up. Good second round from Woodall, but like they're very close rounds. They're very, very close rounds. And I'm watching the fight. I'm just watching it as a fan almost, like, and I'm trying not to think about it as a judge. But I'm sure it must be hard for the judges to score this because it's very entertaining. It's very competitive. Padraig McCrory seems to be forcing it a little bit, like he's forcing the initiative. Not all of his shots are successful. Not all of them are hitting the target, but he seems to be the one that's pushing and pressing the fight. But I'd like him to just clean up his work a little bit and stick to his boxing and start scoring shots, computer scoring shots, landing the punches.
Corners, 10 seconds.
And the knockout one will come. But if you force it, it becomes far difficult.
Seconds out. Round 5.
Oh, good backhand.
Well, Woodall just sent to the ropes there with the force behind the right hand from McCrory. But again, undaunted. He's back. He's slinging himself. Decent work from Woodall there. McCrory just has to get on his toes a little bit to get a bit of distance between him.
Brilliant work from Woodall. Find the target there with those shots.
That's Woodall's turn to try and keep McCrory on the ropes. The cut over the right eye now of McCrory as well.
There's a cut there, yeah. Could be a punch. And a good solid jab from Woodall there. And like I say, this is round 5, it could be 2-all.
Decent right hand from Woodall, just finds the target as well.
Woodall he's getting on top in this round now.
Well, psychologically, the cut will do him the world of good as well. Looking at McCrory's face, who comes back. A nice left hook again from McCrory. Woodall retaliates. Well, we have been treated tonight. The main event not letting the side down at all.
It's been so... Oh, what a...
Big right hand, McCrory. Just senses an opening there again. Woodall just looking to counter.
He just sees red all the time, McCrory. He goes for the killer blow.
A huge right hand. And Woodall again just, well, the head flicked back. He's on the ropes. I think he's taken that well again. Seems to be the legs okay.
Serious chin from Woodall there. He got caught with a massive right hand. The first half of this round was all Woodall, and now it's all McCrory. Just turning the tide completely around.
The final knockings of the round. Well, another thriller again. They're going to have to get to work on that eye in the McCrory corner.
That was another very close round as well. You see, for the first the opening minute and a half, it was all Woodall, and then McCrory just turned it around completely. So it's a brilliant, this is a brilliant fight. So it's all in the balance.
Accidental head clash has caused the cut,
Accidental
apparently,
head clash,
according to
okay.
Mark Bates, the referee.
It's all happening so fast. It's all unfolding so fast. The shots that Woodall is letting go, he's landing, he's having success. Padraig McCrory
Corners,
hitting the
10
target. Look at
seconds.
this. This was an onslaught in the up against the ropes, and Woodall
Seconds out.
shipped a lot of
Round
punishment
6.
there, and still recovered well in the by the end of the round.
Well, it has been.
Oh, very good. Oh, very good. That's better use of his jab now. You see, McCrory's using the jab now way better. I'm pretty sure that that was advice from the corner, from D. Walsh. Get back to your jab, because the jab opens the door for those big shots.
Well, Woodall trying to get up close now. As you say, you imagine the rangy McCrory could make life a bit easier for himself if he wants to get that jab going, but again, not shy of the tear-up, is he?
No. I think the tone has been set from the opening round in this fight, and I don't think it's going to change. Oh, good shot.
Good left hand again from McCrory. Woodall comes back. Woodall again is mixed in esteemed company. The only defeat was to Steve Rolls.
Yeah, Steve Rolls, a Canadian fighter and a world title challenger himself. He actually boxed Gennady Golovkin for the world title. So he's been in with esteemed company.
Yep.
Woodall, he's been around. He's been sparring with a lot of top lads as well, the Charlo brothers.
Well, the defeat as well was at middleweight. Woodall believes he's a better campaigner at super middleweight as well.
Yeah. He's been around for a long time, even with top-class UK opposition. Oh, brilliant right uppercut by Padraig McCrory. But this Woodall's been in the ring with Callum Smith, you know, James DeGale, Billy Joe Saunders and all that. So he has been around for a very long time, and he's just looking for his break, and he believes that this opportunity is going to be his big break.
Oh, big left hand from McCrory, though, just rocks Woodall back to the ropes. Again, seems to take it very well.
That was a big left hook from McCrory. Big left hook.
And I would just wonder what this is doing to McCrory's mentality. He's landed some heavy, heavy shots, and so far, Woodall seems to have been able to absorb them.
Yeah.
Whether that will take their toll, obviously, later in the contest, we wait to see. But
showing great durability, Woodall, showing really a lot of resilience in the fight, but it's a very taxing type fight, you know, there's a lot going into it, and both fighters, you can see, are actually feeling the pace of it now, because even from the opening round, they were putting a lot of energy, expending a lot of energy, power punches. Like, sometimes in a round, a boxer might throw 1 or 2 power punches, but it seems to be every blow they're throwing are big blows.
interesting, really, how the judges will score this, because the crowd, it's such a partisan crowd, obviously. Every shot that McCrory lands, it's
corners,
the
10
roars
seconds
around the false park.
Yeah,
but it's been a... You could make
out.
a case for both
Round
ways.
7.
I mean, McCrory, I think, has done a lot of the early eye-catching work, no doubt about it.
Yeah, you could. And it's a pretty even match, isn't it? But you just think that when McCrory kind of gets on top and lands his punches, he seems to be having a bit more effect with his shots than Woodall is having. Apart from that left hook that Woodall landed in the second round that wobbled McCrory. He's recovered well since that punch. And he doesn't look like he's been hurt since, so long way to go in this fight though. Good left hand from McCrory. Left hook there, blocked by Woodall. They're blowing heavy now as well, both fighters.
I was about to say, do you think it's slowed a little?
It has slowed down a little, yeah. You see the steam coming off them there. They're just putting some effort into this fight. Good jab from Woodall. Ah, good left from McCrory.
I wonder will that eye be a problem now, though, for McCrory? It's just swelling.
It looks to be swelling up there a little bit, Dom, all right, yeah. But his eye is still very much open. It's not, doesn't look like it's impairing the vision now at this moment in time anyway. Good right hand from McCrory. D. Walsh asking for the jab. He's got such a brilliant jab, but just sometimes he tends to, well, you're in a fight of this nature, you can tend to neglect it and go for the big power shots, but his jab is a good punch, and the more he can use it, the better it can be for him.
Everybody's human though as well. It's his crowd. He's had the big entrance. He's all fired up. He's come out here. He wants to make the big statement. He wants to get the big knockout that would fast track him to the big fights. He's got a very resilient man in front of him that has taken an awful lot of solid work from McCrory, and that must be disheartening for Padraig McCrory, as good as he's been.
Yeah, but I mean, like, this is his... He's dreamed of moments like this. He's dreamed of nights like this, you know. But like, Steve Woodall is no pushover. He's coming in here with a very impressive record himself, you know. A very durable
Corners, 10 seconds.
And you know, this is an equal matchup. You know, this was never going to be a walk in the park.
Second
for
fight.
McCrory.
Round 8.
Went to round 8 now, and the fight is already showing that.
Yep. So at this stage, 3 rounds to go. How are you scoring it, Eric?
Yeah, I have Paddy ahead. I have Paddy ahead, but it's a close fight. I'd like to see him boxing a bit more, using his reach, using his jab. That's a good backhand there. Good backhand lead from McCrory. Knocked the head back of Woodall. Yeah, referee is having a word with him, just getting a little bit too scrappy. Oh, good jab. shot.
Well,
Big
Woodall
shot.
goes
That
down
should have
the
been
lane. He's trying to get in there. Oh, the referee might be.
Yeah, his glove hit the
Just gonna
canvas.
between them.
Should have
Gonna
been
give
a
him the
knock
count.
there, yeah.
Well, that bit of a breakthrough moment from McCrory. There was a slip from Woodall. I don't think he's trying to voice his concerns, but
Yeah,
he was
but the glove-
caught as well.
Yeah, a glove. Yeah, well, like, I mean, he got caught with the punch and one glove hit the canvas. If a glove hits the canvas, you have to get the count. So he did keep himself up, and fair play to him for staying up, but no, it warrants a count.
Well, that's got the crowd really G'd up now, and what will that do for Padraig McCrory, who catches Woodall on the ropes? A good left, right. That just has
Jesus,
Woodall.
long straight punches, ramrods from McCrory, just bam down the middle. Woodall is showing some chin here.
Well, Woodall looked temporarily like he was in a bit of bother there, but just bounces off and goes to work again. It is remarkable what he can actually absorb.
Absolutely incredible. These were big punches, and Padraig McCrory, anyone he's hit with them type of punches in the past, they have went down. They certainly wouldn't have been standing there dishing it out, and that's what Woodall is doing. Incredible resilience to his chin and to his conditioning. But a big round for McCrory.
30 seconds left, Pete. 30 seconds.
10-8 round. And at this stage of the fight, it's the kind of momentum you need going into the championship rounds, as they say.
Well, it has been fought at a frenetic pace as well. And both men, credit to their fitness.
Absolutely incredible.
So just 6 minutes remain. Steed Woodall, in many ways, has been a little bit under the radar in his own career. He started off in the USA. He was a decent amateur as well, but he's not been one of the stellar names. He's been on the road a bit. He's taken opportunities where he can.
Yeah. No, he's and he's based in Birmingham in the East Side Boxing Club, and I trained in that club for my last fight as well, and I did some sparring in there. I actually sparred Casey Benjamin in there, and his coach Paul Coonihan there is giving him advice, trying to regroup him after that.
Corners, 10
punishing
seconds.
8th round. That was a tough round for him, so he needs a lot of
Seconds out.
encouragement and
Round 9.
good advice for this round to get back into this fight, because the momentum now is swung in the favour of McCrory.
Yep. Steed Woodall, Eastside Gym, as you say, in Birmingham, in the shadow of the Birmingham City Football Club. Some talent has come through there. But they're that kind of gym. John Pegg in the corner there as well. They often work with the underdogs, with the Sam Eggingtons of this world.
That's right.
And just make the best out of them. And again, they often fly under the radar with their fighters, but they can produce men like this. And
honestly, it's a real throwback gym. You know, you go in there and you get sparring in there. No matter what weight category you're in, there's guys in there that will spar you. I had 4 spars in that gym. I was over there during the Commonwealth Games when they were held in Birmingham, and I was sparring that time, and I got great sparring, and I was delighted with it. They were very welcoming to me in there and looked after me. Great gym.
well, McCrory just trying to get that left hook going again. And well, Woodall, I think you sense that he's way behind now.
Yeah. He's going for it though, Woodall. Still well within this fight. This is a really good fight. This is a close fight. I have McCrory ahead, especially after the 10-8 round, but like, he's not too far ahead. The fight is still within.
No, I think you're right. I think what I mean, Woodall is fighting like he feels he's behind. He's really trying to give it everything, leave nothing to chance. But it is tight.
Still within his grasp. Corey needs to be very switched on, disciplined now and get start popping that jab again. Oh, good punch, good punch. Very clever from McCrory. Just landed a very good straight punch and tied up Woodall.
Decent work from Woodall again. McCrory just gets on his toes a little bit. Oh, big right hand again from
Woodall, yeah. McCrory's looking tired. He's looking tired, he's holding on. He got caught with a big punch, showed good chin. Doesn't want to be taking too many more of them.
30 seconds, Pete. 30 seconds.
Well, could it come down to fitness? Because, as you say, McCrory does look like he's feeling the pace now. Woodall has the final say in the round.
Yeah. Good round for Woodall. Very good round for Woodall. Good comeback, good response after the 10-8 round. So this is going to be a massive round. Big, very important round. And McCrory doesn't want to be taking too many more of them straight right hands off Woodall.
Well, we go into this then. You have McCrory up, obviously.
I have
with the 10-8
McCrory
round.
up, yeah. Like he could be up by a couple of rounds. He could be up by one round. You can see Paul Cunningham there is just absolutely trying to inspire Woodall. He's trying to inspire Steed Woodall in the corner. He's telling him that this fight is there for you. You can see him banging his chest.
Well, I think
he's
we're
trying
going
to
to see
inspire
Woodall
him in the corner. McCrory then, obviously he's looking very tired, looking exhausted in the corner.
Corners 10 seconds.
It was really interesting, the body language. Yeah, McCrory looks exhausted. It was a very calm corner.
Seconds out.
Very animated in Woodall's corner.
Final
They
round.
want to see everything now left in the ring from Woodall.
Yeah.
And what an interesting final 3 minutes we have here. Eric Donovan feels that McCrory's a couple of rounds to the good. It's a tight fight, and Woodall, well, he's had plenty of moments throughout the fight. Who will have the final say?
Oh, very good.
Good left hand, and the legs just buckled a bit from Woodall. That was an excellent shot from McCrory.
He feinted the backhand and threw the jab. It was a brilliant.
Yes! On it! And then up, run it! Run it up!
Oh, good shot. Very clever work. Right hook from McCrory and then just ties him up. Very experienced, very clever. Full of energy, Woodall. He's the more energized of the two anyway. Oh, good.
Looking for the big uppercut.
Very good, right uppercut. I think it's just partly landed, partly blocked. Didn't quite land flush, but that was a dangerous punch. Halfway through the last round now, McCrory does look like he hasn't got a lot of energy left. Still comes out with those big shots. He just throws them from the hip. And
What another left hook to just keep Woodall away.
They're just enough to keep him away, to just buy himself a few more seconds every time.
Inside the final minute of what has been another cracker here in the Falls Park. And the crowd really trying to urge McCrory over the line here. This very partisan crowd is, again, just slinging ones and twos and holding, as you say, is clever work from McCrory.
It is a very experienced last round from McCrory, but he doesn't need to be in the pocket. Does not need to be in there.
Well, Woodall is going to throw everything at him for the final 20 seconds here. He's been urged forward by his corner. McCrory just moves backwards, tries to get out of the way. Oh, still tries to sling the big shot. What a fight we've been treated to. The final knockings. Is there a final twist in the tail? And McCrory wants to have the final say. He doesn't want to go running. He wants the final say, and what a fight. What a credit to both men inside that ring. Both hoisted aloft by their respective corners.
Very, very good fight.
But Padraig McCrory and Steed Woodall have put on a hell of a show. You feel, Eric, obviously, that McCrory's done enough with the knockdown.
I think with the knockdown, and I think in the last round he done enough there. Woodall just finished the round strongly, but for the first, I suppose, the 2/3 of the round, it was McCrory and his clever work, just scoring a long jab, a prodding jab, and then tying up Woodall. He kind of spoiled, McCrory did kind of spoil the last round, and even though Woodall had the most energy, he just didn't allow Woodall to get into his flow at all. So he used his experience, and I think done enough to kind of pip it on points.
Well, big round of applause to McCrory from the Belfast crowd, but Woodall has more than played his part in that as well.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't mind seeing that again, would you?
No, absolute classic. No, I tell you, the people, the crowd in attendance here, they got a real treat tonight. It's been a brilliant show, hasn't it?
Yeah,
some of the fights have been
absolutely
really
has. I mean, some crackers. Obviously, the McComb-Moyer fight as well was brilliant. And some standout performances. Lewis Crocker, Kieran Malloy.
Yeah, Kieran Malloy's
performances.
that knockout over Sam O'Mason, that was just incredible. Lewis Crocker's performance, brilliant as well. Sean McComb,
Yeah,
brilliant 10-round fight, fantastic.
But the main event, I think the scorecards are in.
I tell you, it's a testament to Woodall's conditioning. He's still bouncing around in that ring. He could do another couple of rounds, no bother to him.
Yep. Superbly conditioned. But the scorecards are in. So let's cross to the MC. For the final time, Terry Kavanagh.
Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for both these warriors. What a show! After 10 great rounds of boxing, we go to judges' scorecards. Both Judge Michael Alexander and Hugh Russell Jr. have scored the contest 96-93. Lee Every has it 98-92. All in favor of your winner, by unanimous decision, Padraig the Hammer McCrory.
'97-93 on